Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. My name's Peppa. You probably know me as Peppa Llama, and this is one of my readings from a blog that I originally posted on my website on January the 30th. I'm going through and recording all of my blog posts in this format to share the content with you in this way. If you're like me and you don't like reading on a screen and you want to limit your screen time, be a little more analog in a digital world, I'm creating the content in this way and sharing it with you in this format so that you can listen to what I have to say here. I also like to provide a little bit of context about what I've written, and this is a great way to do that. And this is also a little bit of an introduction in case you're interested in working with me in creative guidance. This is how our conversations are going to unfold. My guidance is by intention very, very non-corporate. I want it to feel like a fluid conversation. It's a human-to-human connection. Think of it as having a conversation with one of your friends. I know this is the way that I communicate with people in my network and my friend group. We send each other messages back and forth on WhatsApp. We send voice notes. We kind of refer to it lovingly as our podcast sessions. We podcast with each other, and that's how working with me will feel. I want it to feel authentic. I want it to feel like you're communicating with a human, because you are. And yes, I want it to feel as analog as possible in this digital world, even though we are using technology to communicate, which I understand is a little bit of an interesting juxtaposition, but that's kind of where we're at in modern life, and that's actually what this blog post is all about. It's about using your hands to create and the importance of analog in a digital world. So I'm going to start reading the post. Obviously, using your hands to create, for somebody like myself who's a visual artist, I'm a painter, I use my hands all the time, so obviously this comes very naturally to me. But perhaps you don't have an analog creative practice right now, and this is something that I really, really invite you to do. Use your hands, be human, put down the phone, stop scrolling, stop using a mouse or a pen or whatever it is that you use to use your technology. And these platforms are wonderful, technology is amazing, but it's only a tool. And be conscious of how much technology you're using in your day-to-day life, and wherever you can intentionally carve out some time to be in an analog mode, using your hands, not being online, not being on the screen, I invite you to do that. So, in this modern digital world where screens dominate our attention, our hands remain the analog bridge between thought and creativity. And that's really what you're doing when you're creating with your hands. You're taking whatever's going on inside of your brain, all of these ideas and everything that's manifesting in your mind, and you are creating those ideas through your arm, through your hands, and then whatever implement that you're using to create whatever it is that you're creating. So it literally is a bridge between your mind, between your thoughts, between your hand, and then whatever medium you choose and whatever canvas you choose. So I want you to mindfully think about that the next time perhaps you pick up a pen, or next time you go to paint something, the next time you do anything with your hands. Think about how you are connecting whatever's going on in your brain through yourself, your body as an implement, and it's coming out through your hands to create. Be mindful about that and do it with intention. And while the digital world obviously offers convenience, speed, and connection, I mean, we're literally connecting right now. I'm recording this from my wooden house over the Caribbean Sea on the Caribbean side of Panama, and we're using technology to connect wherever you are in the world. You are able to, follow along, listen, however you're, connecting with this content that I'm recording right now. You're able to do that. We're able to communicate because of technology. So technology is a wonderful thing. I'm not saying it's terrible and we have to go and live in a cave and not be connected. That's absolutely not what this is all about. But what I'm saying is we need to invite a little more balance into a world that's hyper digital. Let's think about being as analog as we possibly can. Because when we're too much in the digital space, it can leave us feeling disconnected from the tangible, tactile world. And this is where balancing analog and digital practice becomes really, really important. So as modern creatives, we exist kind of at this intersection of analog and digital. Technology has given us incredible tools, there's no doubt about that. Obviously, I have training in graphic design. I've used the computer for over 25 years. I love Adobe Illustrator. Illustrator. I love the Adobe Creative Suite. I'm sure any other designers right now who are using a tablet and Procreate. There's so many wonderful apps and software out there for us to be able to create in a digital way. It's wonderful. Now we have AI. People are kind of, on the fence about AI. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing for creativity? But it can generate ideas in seconds. When it's used in a mindful way, it can actually be really beneficial to our practice. And obviously, the platforms that we're sharing on, like here, for example, on YouTube, it allows us to share our work instantly with a global audience. As I said, I'm here on the Caribbean side of Panama. I'm using this platform, YouTube, to connect with you wherever you are in the world. And the technology is incredible for that. There's a lot of wonderful things about it. And these tools are beneficial, absolutely. And of course, ignoring them would be a disservice to our artistry, especially at this point in time in 2025. We cannot deny the importance of digital tools, especially as creatives. But it would also be unrealistic to think that we don't need it. It's all about balancing it right now. But if we are relying entirely on digital, it causes an imbalance of something that's very important to us as humans. A tactile, physical, human experience of creation by hand. And I just want you to think about that for a minute. You're not a machine, you're not a robot. Yes, we're very much immersed in the digital world right now, but you are a human being. You are having a human experience. And human beings, since the beginning of time, since the dawns of any civilization, have used their hands to build, to create, to start fire, to spear, to gather food, everything. Humans have always used their hands. So don't get too swept up in the digital world that we're living in right now. Yes, technology is great, but it's not everything. Just use it as a tool and remember that you're a human and humans have always used their hands. There's something irreplaceable about the act of working with our hands. And I'll give you some examples of how that shows up in my life. Obviously, as a surfer, the feeling of paddling into a wave, being in the ocean, using my hands to paddle my board is a merging movement with the oceans. Remember that is a connection to the natural world that I can create with my hands. The sensation of dragging your palm along the surface of the ocean, feeling the nature, feeling the natural world, feeling the ocean, using your hands to feel and have that tactile human experience. As a visual artist, as I said, the way a paintbrush responds to pressure as I glide it across a wall to create something, it leaves behind a trail of color and expression. Your hands can create so much beauty, and that's what this level of analog creativity is all about. It's a simple yet profound act to press pen to paper and write something. That's where everything that's going on in your mind, it transfers from what's going on in your brain, from being a thought to becoming something tangible on paper with ink. It forms words, sketches, or any act of creative expression. There's something very, very special about using your hands to create, and I want you to really be mindful about doing that. And as I said in my previous video, just think about putting aside 15 minutes each day, just 1% of your day, to mindfully using your hands to create something. I invite you to use that as part of your practice. You can also think about other ways that you might want to use your hands to create something in an analog way. You can cut a stencil. You can turn the page of an analog book. You can knead dough, or any other way that you like to cook or be creative in the kitchen. You can dig into soil and plant a seed in the earth. You can carve something. You can sculpt something. You can mold something. You can pet a beloved animal companion. Give somebody a hug. Use your hands. Be human and use these moments to ground yourself and remind yourself of your humanness. It's so important to disconnect from that digital world every once in a while and get out, have a tactile experience, and use your hands. Our hands hold history, skill, memory, emotion. They translate our inner world into something physical and something real. So in this modern world, we must be mindful of balance, which is at the heart of Taoist philosophy. As you know, like the yin and the yang symbol, that's all about balancing the opposites. We must learn to embrace digital tools, but still honoring the slowness, the depth, and the soul of analog creation. Creating in this way, when we say those words, slowness, depth, soul, analog, that's a very yin experience. And as I keep saying, this modern world that we live in, and especially the technology that we're so invested in, it's very, very yang energy. It's very outward focused. It's very loud. It's demanding of us to be on, to be available, to be present all the time. But if we kind of wind that back a little bit and slow down, go into a little more depth, be a little more slow and intentional with what we're doing, it can be a very, very yin experience to counterbalance all the yang that's going on in our life to create something by hand. So let technology assist your creativity, not control it. Use technology as a tool only. You're not a machine and you're not a robot. You are a human being having a human experience. So in a time where so much of our lives exist in the intangible world of online and being on screens, being on your devices, I invite you to reconnect with analog techniques to create with your hands. I invite you to slow down, unplug, disconnect, and lean into this yin state of being and creating. And as I said earlier, it can just be 15 minutes per day that you set aside to shut down the laptop, turn off your phone, disconnect from the digital space, and do something analog with your hands, with intention, be present, and see what comes up, see what you create when you're in that state. Use your hands to curate a life that is a work of art. So this is a very important kind of foundation for my entire philosophy of curate a life that is a work of art. Balancing analog and digital is so very important, and I always remind you that you are a human in this world. You're not a robot, you're not a machine. You need to lean into analog practices, and in turn it's very complementary to kind of be in a yin state when you're doing that. Deliberately slow down, deliberately disconnect, deliberately be in that yin, slow, receptive state, and do something in an analog form, not in the digital. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. If you'd like more information about my philosophy or any of my work, you can visit my website. I'm peppalama.com. I'm Peppa Llama pretty much everywhere online. And if you're interested in working with me for creative guidance, you can also go to peppalama.com and there's more information there. I'll also add some more links and other information relating to this post in the links below. Any questions, you can always reach out to me. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great day.